Hey guys, this is Mike from Reporter Suite. Thank you for carving out some time to review the demonstration. We'll give it another minute to allow folks that are running late. I don't want to delay much longer. If you have any questions, there should be a little icon at the top of your screen that you can go ahead and ask questions. Um, Hopefully, we won't consume the whole hour, but we wanted to make sure that there's plenty of time towards the end, to field any questions that you may have. So um, basically, I'm starting, from scratch here at the login screen, and while we let another minute run down here. As you may or may not know, the application is accessible from almost any device with an internet connection. We just had a reporter on her iPad Pro uh, get caught up with the first quarter in I think under 2 hours, spanning something like 60 invoices across 30 some odd firms. And that was one of the goals going in, was to ensure that we'd be able to offer a cohesive experience across any modern device. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to log in using my test information. So upon login, you'll see we're taken directly to the dashboard. And the dashboard serves as kind of an overview for both recent activity and kind of high level metrics. So up at the above, you see, total invoice paid, expensed, and total hours logged. Um, Within this tab system here, we've got recent activity spanning invoices, time entries, and expenses. And what's nice about this too is from the dashboard, you can perform a number of actions. You can edit an existing invoice in case you need to flag it as paid, or change some information. You can, of course, view it. And you can also grab the invoice link. And this is handy in case you need to send the invoice out. Um, One thing that's nice, so I just clicked this, and if I open a new tab and link directly to that invoice, this invoice link, is associated to a unique ID which never changes. So if an invoice, for instance, needed to be changed, that link wouldn't change. So if a change was necessary on an invoice, you can make that change, and the moment the attorney revisited the link, the data would be updated. So you won't have to resend a physical invoice any longer. And of course, from the invoice page, they can print it as a PDF, save it, or bookmark it in case they wanted to reference it later. So there's an immense amount of functionality that can occur right from the dashboard itself. So what my plan is to kind of walk through each of the core categories, basically utilizing every feature that the application offers. And then, like I said, we'll follow up with fielding questions that you may have. So from a time entry standpoint, one of the key things was being able to provide the ability for you to log time very efficiently. And so we wanted to have something on the dashboard. And what's nice about this is um, the timer on the dashboard will only show the applicable fields that are relevant to the category selected. So you don't have to make a decision on for each category. So for instance, official proceedings, we've got our city. What's nice about city is um, the moment a city is entered, I'll be able to reference the city in the future. So, and it utilizes, a quick search feature that will display all of the recently used cities. So you don't have to, type them in from scratch each time. And, I can add the initials. Let's say I had, 45 real-time pages, and I spent whatever, 3 hours and 20 minutes. Once that time's logged, we'll see it in a second under the main time tracking system, but that's it. I can quickly, log under another category, and be done and get back to work. Uh, just covering the top functionality bar up here. What's nice is you can toggle into full screen mode, and that allows you to kind of suppress any other noise, any other things that may be going on your desktop, and maximize the real estate as efficiently as possible, be it using a tablet or a laptop, desktop, whatever you happen to be using. Over here under the notifications icon, this is where we feed in information to users. So for instance, there's a handful of videos on the first one here being on how to clear your cache, and then client firm, expenses and payee management. So this is kind of a running feed of internal only notifications for users. And if we go here, we'll see that I can log out, or I can go to my settings. Now, as a new user, the first place that you'll want to go is settings. And in here is all the pertinent information. If you're coming from WinUSR, all of this will be familiar. If not, essentially, this is the information that's necessary to generate the reports that are needed. So as we flow down here, you would only enter the information that's pertinent to you. For instance, if you weren't on 1099 or EIN wasn't applicable to you, you just simply wouldn't need to enter it. However, the majority of this information is required for invoice and report generation. Time logging, that's your default city. Just so the first time you create a time log, if it happens to be your default city, you don't have to actually enter the city. And then, of course, your page rate. So you'll come in and incorporate your page rates. And if you do freelance work and you have a freelance-based subset of page rates, you can enter those as well. In most cases, the default is no. But when you go and create an invoice, which you'll see here shortly, if we had selected freelance, then the freelance rates would apply to that invoice if it was a freelance-based invoice, which you have the option to select once creating an invoice. So we'll head back over to the dashboard. Let's see, another thing that's nice is the ability to pin the navigation on the left. For instance, if you're short on real estate, you can minimize the primary navigation so that only when your cursor, or if on a tablet, if you hovered, the navigation reveals itself. The navigation will also auto collapse based on screen size. So you'll see if I minimize my screen here, it'll open and close automatically, depending on, like I said, your available screen size. So we'll start with invoices. If I head over to invoices, we see our invoice overview screen. One thing that's nice is we have full text search capabilities here, so I don't have to wade through columns of information. So if I knew, for instance, my case number started with 765, let's see, 4, you'll see that the only relevant invoices that are displayed are those with 7654 in them. We could also do by recipient type. So if I did Maddox Law, you'll see that only invoices generated, for Maddox Law are displayed. Also nice too is here you can quick pay the invoice. So you'll notice many of these invoices have a balance. In the case of this Fowler White invoice, if we expand it, you'll see all the kind of high level information, but because there's no balance due, there's no need for a quick pay option. However, with Fowler White, if we open that, you'll see that we have the quick pay option, and you can optionally include a check number, select the date, which defaults to today, but let's say, for instance, it was actually paid yesterday. I can go ahead and log it as paid, and immediately the quick pay option is no longer there. From this expanded view on an invoice, and anytime you click an invoice, you can kind of see this high level information. We've got an array of tools here. So from here, I can edit the invoice. I can copy the invoice, which will take me into a duplicative of this invoice minus the client firm selected. That way, you don't have to re-enter page rates and case information, things like that. I can, of course, view the invoice, and viewing the invoice will show me the view that the attorney would see once the invoice is sent. I can also copy the invoice link, which is what I just did. I can also, of course, delete the invoice, and any of these actions are confirmed. So let's say, for instance, this is all test data, so this is not a big deal. So I'm going to delete this invoice. The invoice is deleted, and the UI, the interface is refreshed automatically. So I'm going to close search, and up here at the top, you'll see create invoice, and this is where I can go ahead and create a new invoice. The invoice numbers are auto incremented. Of course, we start off with our date, which defaults to today. In many cases, a lot of these fields won't apply, but they're there if necessary. So we'll leave this as an official. We'll switch this to civil. We'll say sure, real time was provided to the U.S. attorney. We can add a case number. Case number, is not required. The only thing that's required when creating an invoice is actually the date and selecting a client or firm. So I'll go ahead and select a firm that already exists. And in this case, I'll do Ausley McMullen. Their information is automatically populated. I can then select the specific attorney. We've got we've got test data in our database. So that this is the first and last name of the attorney within our test data. I can select various accounting types. The pertinent information is in, and we'll say this was for 32 ordinary pages. Now the page rates automatically populate based on our settings, but you can also override them if need be. So if it's a one-time situation where you need to override the page rate for whatever reason, you can simply do it right within the invoice itself. So if I scroll down here, you can also see that, and this, the deposit, refund, and paid, of course, comes into play, if there was a deposit or after the fact. But so when you come in and edit an invoice, these things can be updated. But I'll go ahead and add this invoice. We'll get the invoice created notification and be taken directly back to the invoices screen. And from here, of course, we can copy the invoice link, do whatever we need to do. So we talked about time tracking right from the dashboard. The time tracking section itself, all of the core sections have the format that kind of follows this row column view, where you can kind of click on each entry and get the high level information about each time entry. Now you'll notice that some of these are zeroed out. So at first glance, it seems like, well, wait a second, what was that categorized under? There's only a handful of the primary time reporting categories displayed in column, but you'll see here that we've got 3 hours of official time logged, and I can of course edit these time entries just as you would edit an invoice, and anything I needed to add could be added here. I'm going to head back to time tracking though, and we'll create a new time entry from scratch. The dashboard time entry doesn't cover leave and travel, so it was more intended for the day-to-day type stuff. However, if you needed to log time under those categories, you would do it here. And just like the invoice, although a handful of these fields may or may not be applicable for you, the majority of folks in one way, shape, or form will make use of the majority of these fields. So, and again, once a time entry is created, we'll go ahead and do one now. So we'll say 2 hours and 30 minutes on transcript prep. I'll add a case number, say the case name. I'll add, let's see, this doesn't really make sense, but we'll do 2 hours and 30 minutes of recording time. Go ahead and add the entry. Entry's been created and will be taken back to the time tracking page. And in this case, the latest entry is down here. So if we expand this, we'll see our time entered. Customers, within our customers section, we have both clients and firms. Many clients may be associated with a single firm. So what we'll do is work through the flow of viewing clients, viewing firms, then we'll create a client and then create a firm and associate that client to that firm. So if I go and view on clients, the interface is very similar. In this case, we have the email addresses associated with those clients is hot, so you can actually click on these and it'll fire up a new email. But we've got the high-level pertinent information displayed on kind of the quick view pane, and then of course, the edit and delete flow are very similar. Same thing with firms, and again, full search text-based querying. So even though I don't have a lot of firms here, you'll get the idea. I'll just start typing Mike Ellen, and we'll see that based on email, we get immediate results. What I'll do now is I'll go ahead and create a new firm. A new client, and we'll say his name is Bill J. Mason. the required aspects here, or the required fields here, are first name and last name, and you can see that indicated by the asterisk, the red asterisk here. And if a required field is left out, as soon as I navigate away from it, you'll see that now it gets a red border underneath it, indicating that, hey, we need to focus some attention here. So we'll say this person's email address is billmason@gmail.com. And for notes, we'll say only in office Monday through Wednesday, something. So there's some flexibility there. And we can say that from within the add new client selection, we can determine or designate if this person happens to be with a predefined firm, or if they're an attorney that doesn't belong to a firm. So in this case, we'll just say that he doesn't belong to a firm, and we'll do give him address. And you'll see that based on our selection, we have conditionally required fields. So if this person is solo, we certainly need their address, and this, of course, gets output once the invoice is created. So I'll go ahead and add him, and we're going to create one more client that we are going to assign to a firm. But first, we'll create a firm from scratch. So we'll go over to firms. I'll create a new firm, and I'll say, Ellen Law. One thing that's nice about the interface is we have auto formatting for known field types. For instance, phone. I'm just going to start dumping in numbers. You'll see that they're automatically formatted for you, so that well, one, they're easy to read, and two, when the invoice and things like that are generated, everything's highly legible. Email's not actually required on the firm. That gets associated when the attorney himself, he or she, is selected. But address is, so we'll just add another address, and we'll do the same city. This happens to be where I live. And we'll add the firm. So now that we've created Ellen Law, if we head back to clients and create a new client, we'll say Robin. Ellen, who's my wife. Say Robin at robin.com. We'll say she's with a firm, and I'll be able to select Ellen Law down here at the bottom. And you'll notice that they're alphabetically ordered. So even if you've got a immense amount of firms you're working with, you should be able to very quickly select them. So I'll then go ahead and add them. And what's nice is if I go to clients, I can actually see if they belong to a firm or if they're solo. And if they do belong to a firm, I just open it up very quickly, and I can see that, oh, okay, Michael J. Simpson is with Miller and Smith. And the same thing with firms. We can open up firms, and we get the kind of quick information. And here's previous notes that were entered. This is for internal, obviously for internal internal use only. But these notes are helpful if you haven't billed the firm or client in quite some time, and that information may be pertinent. All right, so let's bounce over to pays and expenses. Pays and expenses are very tightly related. And again, if you're familiar with WinUSR, the workflow is very similar. However, and this is the case with all of the primary sections, the categories reflect the latest category specifications from the AO. So when creating a payee, the first thing you'll do is select the payee category type. We'll say rent for copy equipment, although so I've been told that some of these categories are being revisited due to them hardly ever being used anymore. But for testing purposes, we'll just add this in. We can add an account number, and we'll just say Mike's Computers. In this case, the contact information is not required, because there's flexibility with how from a reporting standpoint, all we need to know is the high level information. But if you want to, you can include everything in here if you'd like. So I'll go ahead and add this payee, and then we'll create an expense against that payee. And again, similar with every section, there's kind of a quick view mode where you can get high level information. There's full text search. So if we search for Mike Oh, well, we're in expenses. Sorry. If we search for Roger Repair, um, RO, where's it getting RO from? Oh, the RO in MacBook Pro. So same kind of filtering here. We get the immediate results, but we should see. Oh, well, we haven't created it yet. Let's create our expense. So I'll go ahead and create expense. Um, the expense date is required, so that's the first thing that's going to provide that visual indication. We'll say it was today, sure, and it was $22. Oops. We can add an invoice number; it's optional. And as far as pays are concerned, we'll our pay that we predefined was Mike's Computers. We can also select the expense type, the payment type if necessary, and in this case, we'll say we rented a scanner for some reason, and we've created the expense. Now, as you know, these expenses are fed directly into report generation, and which is where we're going to go to next. And if we expand reports, we'll see that currently we've got support for the 40A and 40B. We are in the process now of working on the backup reports. So those should be in, I would say, we're shooting for actually end of day Sunday. So you'll notice as time goes by, the reports will be filled in. The important thing is that we're collecting the appropriate data. It's a matter of formatting at this point. So if I click on the 40A, we're in the first quarter of the first year, which defaults to the current selection. So because we don't have any second quarter information, the drop down, you'll have the ability to select, which quarter you're reporting against, but essentially all of our information is here, and any categorical pertinent number you'll be carrying over directly to either ACRA directly, or if it's required that you fill out the hard copy of the PDF, those numbers are transferred over there as well. But in all cases, any category is easily identifiable, and you pull the values over. Now there are cases where at the time of reporting you actually supply the information, which is then factored into the calculation. So in the case of attendance fees, you could either add it here to print this, or just add it at the time you fill it out in ACRA or the hard coded PDF itself. And you'll see that as we move through these things, the the hierarchy of the information is very similar to what you're used to. We tried to keep the formatting very similar, so it wasn't a vast departure. But what's nice is this information is viewable on any device, as I mentioned earlier. Even if you're on your tablet in portrait mode, the navigation is going to automatically collapse, and you can still very easily read this information. You can view this on a mobile device. It scales dramatically down, but even with information that is very table oriented in nature, where you've got a lot of data points, you'll still be able to get in with your phone and view that information. So I think from a functionality standpoint, that pretty much covers the majority of the information. We talked a little bit about the report output here. You can see it's got all of the pertinent information that's pulled from both your settings and, of course, the invoice that this was generated against. And again, a user can create this as a PDF, save it as a PDF, print it directly. The link persists, so if you needed to make a change, you can without resending the invoice. I had already mentioned that. So I think at this point, what I'll do is go ahead and check the question feed here. So let's see what we have. Okay, so David, will there be other features developed for Reporter Suite? Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually we actually created a survey today that's going to be going out to our beta users that will help define the priority of the next set of features. To kind of give you guys an idea of what we have currently on our plate is a standalone mobile app, native mobile app, meaning that you go to the App Store, grab it, and once installed, you click on the icon, instead of opening a browser to log in, you simply open the icon, the app fires up, and it would allow you to log your time directly from your phone without having to actually log into the Reporter Suite web interface. We realized early on that someone may want to report time or log time, while they're at their lunch break, or maybe they forgot and they want to do it on their way home or later that night, and they don't necessarily want to mess around with their tablet or desktop or laptop. While Reporter Suite is accessible, of course, on a phone, it doesn't make sense to present you with the entire interface if the primary objective is to simply log some time. So one of the features, or one of the add-ons that we're doing, and this mobile app would be free to any license holder, just as a kind of an add-on feature that would allow you to quickly log time. The other feature that we're looking at is the ability to allow attorneys to request an invoice or request a transcript. So essentially what this would mean is each user would have a unique link that they could share either in their email signature or just in communications with the attorneys that they work with, that attorneys could visit and actually punch in a case number and request copies of an invoice. The reporter would then be notified that a request was made, and the cool thing is an invoice would automatically be generated against that. So when the reporter logged back in, they would see, oh, okay, there's been a transcript request, and here's the invoice waiting for me to finish it up. Let's see, what else was there? Oh, of course, yeah, credit card processing. So very early on, we wanted to provide an easier way for folks to pay for their invoices, and we realized that this is only applicable for a subset of folks, so it hasn't been a huge priority. But basically, what would happen when an attorney views an invoice, they would also see a button that says Pay Now, and they could either use PayPal or we'd accept any major credit card. You guys would log in, and under your settings section include your EIN, not your EIN, I'm sorry, your routing number and account number that you want the money directly deposited into. There would be no wait. It would be a pass-through transaction. So an invoice could be paid immediately upon receipt, and that's it. The invoice would then be logged. If there was a deposit made, that would be logged accordingly, but essentially, payment processing right from within the application itself. Those are the biggies. There's some other things, of course, like the backup reports that we're currently working on. There's actually there's a bug with ordering. For instance, if I go to Payees, you'll notice that one, I thought it was with Pays, maybe. Let me see if it's with clients. No, it's not with clients. Yeah, it's with invoices. So you notice that invoices by default are arranged in the order that they were created, which also happens to coincide with the auto incremented invoice number. But what you can't do currently is order by case number or total due, which is silly. It's just a bug we have to fix. So there are a few existing bugs that we have to iron out. But from a high level, the things I mentioned before are kind of on the horizon as far as what's next for Reporter Suite. But we're really passionate about software development, and we're going to continue to evolve this product so it can make more and more aspects of your work life easier. Let's see here. If you don't have an internet connection, do I have access to my records? Excuse me. You will not have access to manipulate your records, so you couldn't create an invoice without an internet connection. But what you can do are all of the data is exportable in a format called JSON. So what that means is at any given time, you can export all of your information into a format that's readable by almost anything, including QuickBooks, Excel, basically almost any Office product. Excuse me. However, without an internet connection, you won't be able to actually make any changes on the information itself. Will allow multiple entries for the same firm name in different locations. Great question. Actually, it will. So if I were to go to Let's see. If I were to go to, let's associate a client with a firm. I haven't filled out their name, but I want to show you one thing. You'll notice that listed next to each excuse me, each firm is the city. Um, the reason we added that is for this specific reason, because there may be multiple firms um, that have the same name but are from different cities. So yes, that's entirely doable. And each one has, of course, their own unique address. Let's see what else we have. Man, I'm sorry. Oh, can you show how to print invoice to send to client? Certainly. Sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to drink any coffee while I was presenting, but something's in my throat. All right, so let's take a look here. So we'll view an invoice, and I'll go ahead and print it. I'll save it. Well, I can select my printer, of course, or I can save it as a PDF. When printing, it strips out all of the core design and leaves just the pertinent information. So I'll save this as a PDF on my desktop. I'll just name it. It's just named Reporter Suite for now. Let's see, desktop. Reporter Suite PDF. Here we go. So here's the invoice printed out. It'll maintain the email link if that were necessary. However, like I said, all of the design is kind of stripped out so that the format's nice and clean. And it scales, and in PDF format, it's vector based, so that when this prints, it'll print crystal clear. That said, the link again, always persists. So if something needed to change or something like that, you can make the change to the invoice back within the application. I didn't understand the link. Okay, so the link is the actual link to the invoice. So let's say you're in Case Catalyst or you're in Eclipse. You're bundling up a transcript, getting ready to send it out. Rather than attach a physical invoice, what you can do, you can always do that. You could print your own invoices, save your own invoice as a PDF, of course, and attach it to the email. But the idea behind the invoice link is to rather include a physical invoice, actually include the invoice link, and from the invoice link, that you paste that into the email itself, and the attorney can then visit the link, and from here, they can save it as a PDF. They can do whatever they want. They can, as I mentioned before, bookmark it for later reference. So that's the idea there. You can still do it in a traditional way, in that save down the PDF and include that in the email that gets sent out along with the transcripts. But we felt like this was a far more kind of scalable approach, and this opens the door for things like payment processing, where the attorney views the link. Since this link persists for the moment it gets flagged as paid, the amount due. In fact, I'll do that now. Let's see which invoice this was. So we'll go, and we're going to zero out this invoice here. So now if I view this invoice, you'll see that the balance, actually it's 001. Let me see. That's interesting. I bet you it was kind of me messing in with test data. But essentially, yeah, the invoice link persists, so that if a change is made, an entirely new invoice doesn't have to be sent out. They just visit the link again, and the values are updated. I'm fairly certain it's probably me injecting some kind of bogus test data. We've been hammering this thing the last 2 weeks, trying to break it left and right. So there's definitely some artifacts that exist that are highly inaccurate. Let's see. Okay, this is the big question here. You can't transfer WinUSR. You have to copy all info, question mark. Yep. So my many years ago, it was my mom that actually approached me about creating this program. And the reason I mention that is because there was a very dark day in the development process of this application, and that dark day was when I had to tell my mom that she had to transfer her WinUSR information. there's many reasons why we're unable to extract that information from WinUSR, but it boils down to two. One of them is the data structure that Larry used for WinUSR is no longer supported by anyone. In fact, it's long ago. I found an article, I don't know, that was dated 12 years ago. Um, People abandoned that data structure because it doesn't it's not SQL in nature. It's not structured in a way that allows for the consumption by other applications. And because WinUSR, you can back up your information, but the but I think the deceptive thing about an application that provides backup functionality is it's not very helpful if it's only the application that can then read it, right? So if something were to happen to your computer, and even if you had that information backed up on an external jump drive or somewhere else, you would still need to find a whole nother computer, install WinUSR just to restore your backups. And we've heard cases where similar situations have happened, and they get no response. So basically, they have their backups, but they have absolutely no way to view or restore that information. The other problem is with the new AO categories. Even if we were able to kind of crack that nut, you would still have to go into each and every entry and append each record with information pertaining to some of the new category selections that are available, especially with expenses and invoices. Initially, we kind of resigned to the fact that maybe we'd only be able to get clients and firms, right? Because we wanted to at least try to save some time there. But that's when we ran into the proprietary nature of the way that data is stored. So we haven't tried to pretend to anyone that double data entry and kind of redundant migration of data that already exists isn't a pain. It certainly is. And I recently mentioned this to one of the users. Most folks are transferring only what's applicable to 2017 on. My one of the beta testers that we worked very closely with realized that in her case, like 80% of the information, especially revolving around clients and firms, was no longer applicable anymore. So in that case, she realized that, like, all right, I'll get caught up with 2017 and then just bring things over as needed. So that's kind of been the flow. And I think I mentioned earlier, we had a reporter on Saturday or Sunday move over something like 50 or 60 invoices spanning 30 or so clients and firms from our iPad in less than 2 hours. So although it's arduous and certainly not going to be fun, the migration of that information is going to need to be done manually. And we've tried to ensure that the interface is intuitive enough to where this, it can happen as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, if there's a way we could have done it, we most certainly would have. Let's see. Do you have to pay a yearly fee to access to your online records? So the yearly $50 fee is for both support and ongoing maintenance. And this kind of ties back into the the question before, as far as backing up that information. You would never have to pay to access your own information. Like that's just morally wrong. So and as I mentioned, the way that the data is stored and transferred is in what's called JSON format, and almost anything, even Notepad, can open a JSON file. So no, you certainly don't have to pay to access your own data. In fact, you can access it at any time. And if for whatever reason you decided Reporter Suite wasn't right for you, and this is probably a good time for me to mention this, we have a 100% non-expiring, no questions asked refund policy. So, if you decide that Reporter Suite isn't right for you, you can grab your data and import it elsewhere, and you'll be fully refunded. So no, we don't kind of trap your data. Let's see what else we have. Okay, yeah, another one about WinUSR. Another one about backup. Okay, cool, from Kathy. Yeah, The backup, like I said, is in JSON format. I think that is, yeah, I think that is all of the questions. When I say I can't retain the court information. Okay, so when I save in the invoice to PDF, I can't retain the court information. Um, I don't. You can certainly retain the court information because you're going to have record of the invoice that you created that PDF against. So uh, I I think I'm going to shift off of Robin. I know you're facilitating this. Can you? I want to make sure I understand this question correctly. Can you shift it off to where we're muting the folks that are viewing? Let me see if I can.
No, the webinar doesn't allow for just viewers to have audio access because then it'd be like really loud and.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And I hope I'm understanding this correctly. Okay, so it sounds like she's asking, if the court information is retained once a PDF is generated. The PDF is generated against the data that you enter, which always persists. So, if I created a PDF of this, of this invoice, uh, yeah, the invoice information itself is always going to be present and searchable and available for review. So you're not actually losing anything by creating a PDF. You can almost think of a PDF as just an alternate way, to print something. Um, so no, the information is not lost. Oh, there she. I think she might have followed up. Let's see here. I can snail mail to the attorney. That's really the question. Oh, certainly. So for cases where you have to snail mail something, um, I, me personally, I would print this directly to my printer instead of saving it as a PDF. I would just simply select my printer and print this out, and mail it off. Now, if that, of course, with snail mail, if the invoice needed updating or something like that, it would have to be mailed out again. But at any time, you can kick out, a printed version of an invoice or a printed version of anything within the application, uh, and and mail that out without worrying about any of the information being lost. And the snail mail, the printed version is representative of what the printed version is. In fact, I just printed this, so I'm going to turn on my camera and show you what it looks like. Let's see, share your webcam. Okay. And I don't know if you can see this on screen. It's quite blurry, but essentially, here's the invoice in the same format that you saw on screen. I hope that helps. It's a little odd, but yeah. So that's the printed invoice. Let's see if we have anything else here. Oh, so the cost for Reporter Suite. So the license is $349, and then there's a $50 yearly maintenance and support fee. Um, Again, the maintenance support fee is to support the continued evolution along with the cost of the technology stack that this all sits on. Unlike a standalone installable kind of a legacy style application where you're sent an installer and installed it, there's no overhead as far as from a technology cost standpoint. But in the case of Reporter Suite being in the cloud, there are fees associated with the application being deployed in the cloud, and that along with support is what that maintenance fee covers. Uh, does the invoice generated resemble the Form AO44 closely enough we're required to use? Yeah, that was the goal actually, Laura. In fact, our beta testers, there's not a single beta tester that's not a federal court reporter. So the formatting of everything uh, was kind of reviewed with a fine tooth comb, and the invoice itself received many alterations to ensure that everything flowed as it needed to be, including things like down here we've got this additional information down here which changed very recently from the AO. Is actually stored back on the settings page. So if that change comes again, if another change comes again, we can scroll down here and you can see the exact additional payment terms that are required. So that's one thing nice about a cloud deployed application. When a change or a new category or something like that comes from the AO, you're going to see that change when you log into the application next. There's no update of an installed file, no nothing. Any device that you hit Reporter Suite from is going to reflect that change. Just does happen from time to time. If I'm generating an invoice and lose my connection, is my invoice lost? Oh, certainly not. The saving of an invoice. How can I demonstrate that? Well, I can't turn off my Wi-Fi, otherwise the saving of an invoice, the saving of any piece of data is faster. You'll notice when I save something, I'll do a client real quick because clients have a very small form. So I'll add this real quick. And we'll say they're with the firm, Austin McMullen. Great. So before I click this, I want to explain what's happening here. The moment I click this information is immediately sent to the server. The notification that the end user receives, which you'll see up at the top right of my screen momentarily after I click Add Client, that is the result of the server coming back and saying, yes, there was a successful save to the database. So the actual data gets sent to the server long before you're even presented with confirmation. It gets kind of more into the technical side of things, but the moment that this client is added, there's no there's no delay between the capturing of that information, it getting saved. And if you lost your connection seconds after you added that client or invoice or whatever it happened to be, the moment you log back in, either on that computer or elsewhere, that information is going to be retained. How is the support supplied? Through email or phone or both? Currently, it's been. Oh wait, where is the credit card payment info? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with this feed. Where's the credit card payment info? So credit card payment info, the sign up, reportersuite.com, sign up. So there's a sign up link, and I'll show you that. And I want to make sure I'm covering the question appropriately. So you can sign up here by clicking sign up, and this is where your information is captured, right? But if you're referring to the credit card information for an attorney to pay for an invoice, that's one of the features that's currently on our plate. The credit card processing and payment of invoices by attorneys is something that is part of the kind of next evolution of the application. We've kind of flagged that as version 3. We're currently in version 2. So if you were referencing either credit card information regarding the purchasing of a Reporter Suite license, it's available right off of the website. If you're referencing the credit card capture of invoice payment collection, that'll happen once support for credit card processing or payment for a transcript has been enabled. How is the support supplied? Through email or phone or both? Actually, it's been both. The majority of issues reported and things like that have happened over email. But when we run into a particularly unique kind of anomaly, usually it's over phone. When you purchase the license, the second that transaction goes through, you'll get a confirmation email with my mobile number, and that you can call at any time. I mean, if it's in the middle of the night and I don't answer, it's just because I'm asleep. But there's no barriers between you and support. We plan to intentionally roll in a formal kind of ticketing system within the application. But one thing that's been fantastic is the user base has been small enough to where we just communicate with you guys directly. And it also helps that we know folks that are in the field. So, I'm very comfortable talking to you guys. And my wife's been fielding support requests and things like that. So, and if it's outside of the scope of something that we can do in a few seconds, over an email description or over a phone conversation, usually we'll kick into a screen share, so I can see exactly what's happening. And that was the case many times during the beta. The $349, does the $349 include the first year support, or is there an additional $50 charge? The $349 does not include the first year support. So that first year support fee is due at the time that the license is also purchased. Do you have CJA invoice tracking, Jill? So initially we were planning on support for the CJA invoice, but then we got word that almost everyone is switching to eVoucher. Um, we we have since decided that we're going to add a CJA flag on the traditional invoice, just so that it can be categorized as a CJA. But because of eVoucher, the need for the physical printing and sending of anything CJA based isn't necessary from the application. And if that's not the case for you, certainly reach out to us. But that's what our plan is now. I never received email about this, but just happened to see on Facebook. You should have emailed because I almost missed it. Jody, we that's awesome. So we love software development, but we're not great at kind of marketing communications and things like that. My wife has been extremely helpful, and while she does have a background in corporate marketing, we also have a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old. So there's definitely when it comes to loose strings, those are reserved for kind of communications and marketing while we focus on the evolution of the application. But this is being recorded, so we'll be able to share that with folks that either couldn't make it or came late.
It actually was in the email blast that we sent out. I'll make sure that you're on the email list because you should have received that in the launch email.
Gross let's see, so they can't make changes to it. Okay, cool. Gross receipts taxes field. We don't have a gross receipts taxes field. I don't believe. I'm gonna copy this exact text and add it and see where that may be applicable. Actually, great job. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, the gross receipts taxes field. So I'm definitely going to follow up and find out. I have a feeling. I remember there being mentioned a few months ago of a receipts field. I don't think it was quoted gross receipts. I don't think it was quoted the same way. So we may actually be capturing it just under a different name. But I'll certainly check and make sure in case there's potentially something that we've missed. But like I said, we've got a number of beta users that have been using it, and people that have completed their reports and so far it's been a long time since we've realized that an input field or something like that was actually missing. And now that we're as I mentioned before, the backup reports that we're continuing to develop, the core data is in place. So now it's a matter of formatting and presenting it in a way that's easily digestible from a visual standpoint. Let's see. Okay, yeah, gross receipts ledger. Okay, cool. Kathy, Robin, is there a way that I can do we? And I'm sorry, I don't know about this presentation technology. Do we have the ability to get Kathy Ford's email address and potentially there was whoever originally asked about it?
Yeah, we have it.
Okay, great. So I'll reach out to you guys directly and either screen share where I think this may go or might have gone or ask you directly where it should be, and we'll make sure it's in there. Outstanding accounts receivable ledgers. Okay, great. I'm actually I'm taking screenshots of these questions. I know we have the ability to print them all out, and we'll do that for sure. Let me just make sure. Okay, I don't think I've missed anything. Wow, that is a lot of that. This is awesome. 29 total questions so far. Oh, cool. Thank you for the email, Dana. All right. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. We have, our generic email address is info@reportersuite.com, and some of you may already have it, but my email address is mike.ellen. It's ELLAN. So mike.ellen@reportersuite.com. If you have any further questions or anything like that, definitely shoot us an email, post on our Facebook page. But we really appreciate you guys carving out time, and we will get the screen recorded version up, for access later if you want to review it again or send it to somebody that wasn't able to make it. But I think we're in good shape, Robin.
Okay, thanks everyone. We're gonna end, and I will send you guys all the links so you can review it later if you choose to.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.